What is up, guys? Welcome back to another review. Today, we are taking on stand-up comedy. Who? Andrew Santino. Where? Netflix. The title? Cheeseburger? I know. It's nice and corny. All right, let's get into it. Andrew Santino. Been a fan of Andrew Santino's for quite a while. He's a Chicago kid. This special was filmed in Denver, Colorado. Let's get right into it. I know Andrew Santino from his podcast of Bad Friends. He did one of his own, Whiskey Ginger. I don't even know if he still does it. I've been a fan of his podcasts. He had a Chicago-based special that was on Amazon Prime that I watched that I thought was very funny. That was a few years ago, but we are talking about Cheeseburger today, his most recent. This was released early in January, and it starts off pretty strong. If you know Andrew Santino, you know that, as most of the reviews have been written, no topic is safe. He's going to cover everything. He's going to be dirty. He likes the sexual innuendos, which you get plenty of in this one. You guys know I try not to spoil jokes, but the way that I've done this review is different than any other way that I've done them before. As I was watching the special, I wrote them as jokes. So I have like COVID shot is how he opened it up, saying he got it, talking about the complexity of not knowing what's in it, telling people to shut up, like you eat bratwursts and you don't know what's in that. So again, that joke got a thumbs down. His opening was a little slow, starting on COVID. I'm just worn out on COVID comedy, so I think that's why I was like, all right, man, come on, Andrew, let's get into it. And because I think he started a little slow, it forced you to focus on him. He looks like an old man. He's dressed with like a kind of sweater vesty thing on. He's like walking in this weird hunch, which I don't know if he's doing that because of his physical comedy that he uses throughout the special, which is fantastic. Andrew Santino's physical comedy, which is an aspect I think, without even knowing it before, that I think his comedy was missing. He was a little stale on stage. Now his physical comedy is out of this world. When he did the characters of the person in the time of Jesus and he's all hunched over, I was crying laughing. There was a couple other times when he turned into different like characters, all of which were kind of hunched over, and I thought that they were very, very funny. But we'll get to that. His dad got the COVID shot, transitioned into a sex joke. I don't even really remember what that was, but got a genuine laugh. So somewhere in the transition of talking about his dad, and he made one of his sexual innuendos, I thought it was pretty funny. Then he starts talking about those commercials that are on late night TV where it's like a disabled veteran, a disabled child, something like that. And again, he uses his physical comedy when he's like on the what he calls the monkey bars, or what's he call them, the two bars, and it's the ones where people are using them to walk again. He's talking about how like in the NFL when they say they'll never walk again, he's like they always walk again. And then there's this commercial where cut to I'm watching this guy hobble. Now, you don't want to laugh at disabled veterans. You don't want to laugh at disabled anybody's. But the movement that he's making and the point that he's making causes such a genuine laugh to come out of you that you're like, this is what stand-up is. You're supposed to laugh at shit that makes you uncomfortable. So if you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to be at a stand-up show, right? So we have to kind of get that out of the way. You have to know the room you're in, which he talks about that later in the special. He talks about, you guys are all in on this. So everything that I'm doing here, you guys are agreeing to be a part of. Now, if he takes it way left field and everyone obviously turns on him, he has to deal with that. But they didn't do that, and he's acknowledging, like, guys, it's going to get real. I'm going to say things that are going to make you uncomfortable. So starting with disabled vets is actually kind of a soft blow compared to some of the other thing. I thought his big pops came early on when he would just say shocking things sexually, talking about getting pegged, or when he masturbates, sticking a finger, builds all the way up to his whole hand in his ass. It got big pops, I think, for the shock of what he was saying. The jokes, they're the classic dick jokes of comedy. So his audience definitely appreciates that. You could hear the pops and laughter from the crowd. So obviously they worked. I'm a little older now, so I don't get as much humor out of that. The prostate exam joke was very funny. He equated it to like women and how they hook up with a guy for the first time and how it left him feeling very vulnerable, and he made all these connections. That joke, I think, is kind of the standout joke of the entire thing, and it was perfectly timed because it came about 30 minutes in. I did watch this special twice. I did not like it. I would have rated it lower the first time I watched it. It took me a while to get into it. The second time I watched it, I feel I was able to give it a better review because I was like, okay, I get what's going on. I was more in the mood for comedy maybe at that time. And I've made some of these notes since that. The Jesus joke where he called Jesus gay, that joke is going to divide a lot of audiences. Right there, a lot of people will immediately go, I'm not watching jokes that make fun of Jesus. I have people like that in my family. I respect that. This joke is funny. The physical comedy he uses in it, like I said, he becomes this like hunched over character of the time, and he talks about how Jesus was gay in his opinion. It was very funny. Moves into a Greta Thunberg joke, talking about climate change, stop yelling at me. I thought this joke was lazy. I think anyone that goes at Greta Thunberg, you should be careful. Andrew Tate just got arrested after doing that. So, I don't, that's a kid, and she's trying to do what she thinks is right. I don't really like comedians taking jabs at kids. It's just whatever. The Mexican in the wall joke, where he's talking about how he would like to see the border become like an American Ninja Warrior. He plays out a Mexican character. That is funny. Andrew Santino, because I think of his relationship with Bobby Lee and their podcast on Bad Friends, has no quarrels with doing imitations of different ethnicities. I don't think he's going to fear to be canceled, nor should he. I think he did a very good job in that joke. And again, outside of one part where he goes, they're all criminals, and he goes, that part's true. I don't think there's anything for the Mexican community to get upset about. Yes, he said that. It was a joke. I think everyone gets that. This is where he transitions to, you're all a part of it. What I'm saying and what I'm doing up here, you're all agreeing to be in on this. I'm giving you a performance. Then he goes in to why he called it the special cheeseburger, saying he just wants to be a cheeseburger, meaning he doesn't want to leave a legacy. He just wants you to enjoy him while he's here now, which I can respect. As an artist, I think everyone fears that you're not going to be appreciated till you're dead. And it's probably nice for him to get to say to a full sold-out audience, hey, just appreciate me now for what my comedy is. Don't judge me on what we're going to be in 20 years or who we were 50 years ago. Just take these jokes as they sit now. And I thought that was kind of a cool moment. Not so much comedy in that, but whatever. Moved into a gender equality joke talking about, women. Why do you want the jobs that we have? You don't want them. You tricked us into taking them. Again, couple sexual innuendos. He makes a vagina out of his hands and whatever. More physical comedy. Again, anytime, and it could just be the red hair. Anytime Andrew Santino goes at gender equality or women, I'm always like, is that a Burr joke? Am I hearing Burr? But they have such similar temperaments, which is angry and loud. It's hard to not hear women criticism, angry, loud, redhead, Burr. It's hard not to do that. So I'm not saying in any way that Santino stole jokes or anything like that. It's just hard for me to distinguish the two. The dog, where he talks about Sonic. His dad sent him a box with Sega Sonic plugged into it, and he played. That's just a funny joke. You should make it to the point of the special. It's towards the end where he's telling about playing Sonic. He's transitioning out of the gender equality. Again, the gender equality one, fine, whatever. The Sonic joke was funny. He somehow then transitions to the fact that he got a dog and how the dog is creepy after him and his wife hook up, which he doesn't do a good job. He's talking about how he gets this dog, and then he goes, when we're hooking up, you're like, wait, what? You and the dog? And then you're like, oh no, him and his wife. You're like, wait, but he's so weird throughout. You're like, wait, what? That part just was not edited well on Netflix's part. That was a bad cut. That was a bad transition. Then he talks about how the dog wants to like sniff around when if you're married and you have animals, you can laugh out of probably commonality there. Down syndrome girl joke talks about he took the dog to a hardware store and there was a Down syndrome girl. She wanted to pet the dog. The dog was not nice to her. And it turns out he goes, I lied. This joke never happened. This didn't happen. He goes, but you all, and he makes a big reveal about what he believes about Down syndrome people. And I will let you all be the judge of that, what you think of that. Let me know what you think of the entire special and the ending joke and its correctness. You guys let me know, and I'll see you in the next review.